I do love pondering this question, and this question is, what is more fundamental, or what is the fundamental truth to existence? Because neither really makes sense, but I lean more towards one because it's a little bit of a more whole picture, but it still has a problem in and of itself, and that is matter the fundamental of reality, or is consciousness the fundamental of reality? And then if you go into matter being the fundamental of reality, you're like, okay, cool, but how did matter just by itself uphold all of existence for this long? We can map it back now with science, and we can say, okay, we've been here for billions of years now as an estimate. But how has that upheld? How did that not descend into chaos? What causes matter to uphold and have order and have these laws of existence? So there's a problem in it of itself right there. It's just like, why would it do something of that nature? It doesn't really make sense for matter to just act on its own and just have such a structure, you know? Why isn't it more chaotic? And also the very probability of life existing itself, so extremely low, like insanely, look it up. Like it's like if the rate of expansion was ever so faster or slower, we're cooked, we don't exist. If the strength of the nucleus inside atoms was different, we're cooked. And even of the earth, if we were closer or further away, we're cooked. So it's like we won the lottery here by just simply existing, and it's so unlikely that it's just like insane. But then the other option is, okay, consciousness is fundamental, but then it's like, okay, where the fuck did consciousness come from? How does consciousness just exist? And yeah, you run into a roadblock, either or. It's like it's a bit of a paradox, either one that you choose. So it's just like, man, my hair is cooked today. Look at this. What is this? Been philosophizing, so my hair's cooked. Anyway, it seems that consciousness answers it a little bit more, but it still doesn't answer it. It still doesn't give us a solution. It's just like, oh yeah, consciousness just is. Because if consciousness just is, then it would make sense that something could be monitoring and upholding all of reality and making it all work, as opposed to just an impersonal force somehow upholding it for billions of years. Like we just got lucky this time around that we can have an impersonal force governing us. Yeah, so if the fundamental is consciousness, which I do lean towards, but it's impossible to truly know. Right now, at least, maybe we'll prove it in the future. But if consciousness is fundamental, you have to think of like, okay, then what would be the layers of that? If consciousness is fundamental, it probably would have started somehow being like, well, you could imagine consciousness in a kind of void state, or just existing and being, and then being like, bro, what is this? I'm bored. And then if you're just consciousness, how are you going to create anything externally outside of consciousness, when consciousness just exists and would be the anomaly of existence? You can't. So everything has to come from within. So that means that existence would be a dream within a dream within a dream within a dream state. And I'll explain what I mean by that, because when you would first start existence, right, you would want to create something beautiful if you had control over it. And you like when you close your eyes and you try and imagine a dream state, you try and get what you want, you try and imagine what you want, you're trying to imagine a dream life. So you'd probably do something similar if you were just consciousness existing. You would create, beautiful worlds, heavenly paradises, and more conscious beings to inhabit that. And then once that occurs, and you build that up enough, eventually you're going to run into a problem where a conscious being says, hey, I don't want to live here, I want to go do what I want to do. And then you have to be like, as that conscious being, you would see what outcome that would lead to, and you'd be like, no, unfortunately we can't do that here, because what it will lead to, and it will bring suffering to these realms and to other beings here, so I can't enable you to do that. And then, the other consciousness could throw a little bit of a tantrum and be like, well, I'm not happy here, so I need to go exist somewhere else. And then that would give birth to our realms that we live in right now, where it's a bit more mortal, but we have way more free will. We can do whatever we want in here, like whatever we want. Unfortunately, that's a problem of evil. And then, yeah, that's kind of the layer of existence. So I think that so at the pinnacle of it, we would all be consciousness, just existing. And then the second layer would be, you know, heavenly realms where you can exist in and enjoy and explore. And then from those heavenly realms, you can go deeper into these material realms, and you can even go even deeper. You can go into virtual reality inside of these realms, and I'm sure it could be an even more loop, a bigger loop than what I'm describing right now. So yeah, those are just some thoughts, some logic that I was following. It's very interesting because I have had my background in like more spirituality, but I've always wanted to merge spirituality and science and logic and try and like do my best to try and figure out what is actually going on here. I feel like that's what we need as humanity, because, you know, some people go a little bit too far in science, and we don't have all the answers in science right now, so they become a bit nihilistic or a bit too materialistic. And then other people go too far into, you know, the religions that we have of today, and they go a little bit too dogmatic, or, you know, they believe things that just don't make sense, and it causes detriment to society as a whole. I think both cause detriment to a society if you go lean one side too much. So we need to kind of balance, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do by exploring the depths of these topics. I do believe that we need a merger of science and spirituality and truly understand, because those are just theories of mine, but I do believe that they carry quite a bit of weight, and I would say that they would probably lean closer to the truth, but obviously I can't know with absolute certainty. But yeah, just some thoughts that I thought I would share with you guys, and yeah, that's it for today, mate.